Oh, have I understood?
Did you want to add on? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I can let them add on. Or...
Please add on, because I'm not fully following. So
Comrade Ferron, my name is Tobani Zigalala. I come from the South African Youth Council. My question with regards to this thing is maybe very pointed, but just following from what Comrade Lebo was saying is maybe we must have a much more pointed conversation. And the pointed ideological question must be, in our quest for socially owned enterprises or renewable energy, are we speaking also of the orientation of these socially owned enterprises? In that, are we breaking out of capitalism as a system of organizing production in the world that has destroyed the planet? And we are trying to break into a new way of organizing production, which may be socialism or whatever new case. Because sometimes we get lost in the terminology and new terms and new concepts of defining things without really going to the source. The problem of the world is how production has been organized for the past 2 centuries at least. And if we want to solve the problems of the world, we must first think about how we're going to organize modes of production anew in a way that seeks to give justice to the society. Because if we're not having that conversation, Comrade Ferron, then we are almost trying to reinvent. I mean, Schumpeter tells us that capitalism always faces crisis, but it always fixes itself. It fixes itself sometimes with what? With some of the so-called initiatives that the opposing forces provide. They just find new ways of making it work for capitalism. So we must be very careful with the concepts, the terms that we use, and trying to run away from the fundamental question. We have a fundamental problem of modes of production and how they've been organized in the past 2 centuries, and that's the conversation we must always not try to run away from. I'm sorry if I'm...
You're not pointed, but I don't understand, because I feel like that's the conversation we're having. That's what let's have it. So and I have the same frustration that you have, that we sort of walk around the term, right? We talk around so that because we're scared people don't agree with us, so we sort of talk around it. And I'm saying, do you agree with this definition? Socially owned renewable energy refers to renewable energy produced for not profit maximization, under my definition, but the needs and purposes of society. So if this community needs a hospital, right? Or we decide we don't want to produce our renewable energy for energy-intensive users, we want to produce our renewable energy for schools and hospitals and small businesses, right? In informal settlements. So that would be producing for the needs and purposes of society rather than for making the most money, because energy-intensive users, those are very big corporations that have lots of money, right? So, produce for the needs and purpose of society, where the means to create this energy belongs predominantly to society as a whole. So, I'm responding to you, comrade, and I'm saying that the wording socially owned renewable energy that demand comes out of it has long been supported by the labor movement, by various community organizations, and so we embrace that demand and we try and pinpoint what it means and how we can activate that demand in our society. So I'm asking, do you disagree with this? Do you think it's something else? And I asked the people that were sitting why they think this is not a good idea. Yeah, so we're doing 2 things. We're asking, I guess because your question around the definition and language is, do you agree with this definition? And if not, what do you think it should be? And then I realized afterwards, I don't know if everybody actually wants this. And so I'm also asking, if you don't want it, why not? Yeah.
Thank you. I mean,
sorry, I skipped people. Alex is doing it. Go ahead. Sorry,
Yeah.
Alex, he's also got a hand here.
Okay.
But go ahead.
There's a question here, everywhere.
Oh, okay. Wait, okay.
Yeah.
Can you do, sorry, I was
Yeah.
going to say just pick the women. Or just pick whoever hasn't spoken yet first, I guess, sorry.
Okay. I don't know. We haven't heard from our comrade from SAFTU, but also Simpiwe here. So maybe we can take two. I don't know how many more you want to take.
Oh, not that many more. So, two more is good.
Yeah,
There's going to
comrade.
be a Q&A afterwards. I just want to give the comrades an opportunity to do their presentation. Yes, continue.
Yeah, comrade, I think now it's time for us to use theory, because now we are talking of something that
Comrades,
Angizwa?
I find it a bit strange that sometimes when women speak, then rumbling starts.
Oh, okay.
I'm not blaming anybody, but I do think we have to be careful about who we pay attention to and who we don't. Yeah? Who we listen to and who we don't. So Comrade Simpiwe is speaking now, so I'd like everybody to pay attention. Sorry for interrupting you to say that, but I just found it very frustrating. Go ahead.
Ngiyabonga ukuvikeleka, Nkosazana. What I'm saying, there are things that we can talk to that maybe it's for a long period. Then there are things that we can do like now. Like this one. We are having the 350, we are having CJC. I don't see a need for us to make a noise about this. It's all about the NGOs that are talking about this, to invest within this, so that we implement some of other things. They don't need 20 years to come. When we're talking about energy, solar, people should be trained for that. And money be invested in that, so that when we go out to our community, people are trained. We go out to our community, we are saying this is a solution from this pollution and stuff. This is what we can do.
Yeah.
We saw, like, for instance, in my community, we didn't have water. What we did, we mobilized ourselves as a community. We spoke amongst ourselves in our community. We called the plumbers. We called them. They connected the water for us from the communal tap to our yards. So I think now it's time. Some of other things, they don't need a long discussion or a debate, comrades. Let us invest and do lagenzeka khona senze izinto zenzeke, because ngine believe ukuthi masikhuluma ngalama solar energy, we are seeing them. Abantu abanemali bayawafaka, angithi. So why not ama comrades are interested, get trained, number one, ukuwayenza nokuwasavisa at the end of the day, and ngibelieve ukuthi sizobe siza umphakathi wethu. And at the end of the day, nale bathi le unemployment esikhuluma ngayo nayo futhi sobe sinciphisa at the same time, because wona lama bourgeois, lama capitalists, they will hire us futhi ukuthi yo maintain lezi zinto lezi, or we'll own that, because now we have knowledge ukuthi how do we do this. So ngicabanga ukuthi sekuyisikhathi manje ukuthi ezinye izinto kungabi yonke into esizoyihlalela sidiscuss phansi. Singayidiscuss for the planning, not ukuthi discuss for the fun of it, that we are discussing this is what we want, this is what we are going to do. We need ukuthi senze izinto manje ziyenzeke, so that we go to our community, we talk about the solar panels, but we can show them what is the solar panel. We can install that solar panel. And our stock fields around our communities are a lot. There are a lot of people that they didn't have those RDP houses, but they have proper houses that they built the houses on their own, with their own money. So with this one, I think we need to set an example about it.
Thanks, Carmen. Good point around the tactical, the tactical benefits of also campaigning for SOAR, because we need to show people that a transition can be just, right? And that they can benefit from renewable energy. So it's a way to model that, even when we don't yet have the policies and all the investment that we need. And I'm so glad there are lots of questions. we have a queue, there's a part, the last bit of the session will be a Q&A. But before we do that, I just want to tell you a little bit about the SISMAC project. Okay, this is the Sekekune Social Ownership Project, and then you can ask the panelists some questions and also continue with these discussions. Is that okay? Sharp, okay. So, Comrades Tokelo and Desiree are on the SISMAC core team. So Sekekune Combined Mining Affected Communities, CAL, Center for Legal Studies. Center for Applied Legal Studies, that's it. 350.org and Lawyers for Human Rights, and then also members of transition townships at the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University have come together to team up to see how can we showcase a socially owned renewable energy project as part of a campaign to get more government to support more socially owned renewable energy. Right? So how can we do that? And we started by learning a lot about renewable energy. But before, so Katlego was supposed to come today, but she's very sick. She's not very sick. Her baby is very sick and in the hospital. So what I asked Comrade Tokelo and Desiree to do is just answer some questions from me about the project, and then and hope maybe you have some questions too, and I'll share some slides to support them. So can we actually swap so I can sit next to them? Thanks. Okay. So my first question to you guys is, why did SISMAC decide that this was the kind of project that you wanted to campaign for socially owned renewable energy and be involved in this project? Why did this start? Why did the project start? Who wants to take it?
Yeah, thanks, Comrade Ferron. Yeah, from our side, when we started this, is because we realized there were load shedding, there were expensive of electricity, and also the mines are taking our minerals outside, doing solar panels and come to our communities. So we decided that as SISMAC that, how about those minerals? We do solar panels, our communities are benefiting from them. Because we've been quiet for a long time. Sekekune is very big with a lot of mines, but we are not benefiting. So we, like Ferron said, we come up together and realize our time is now. Let's mobilize ourselves, let's mobilize our communities and engage with the mines.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Comrade Tokelo. And it just summarizes what I've put here, that, well, I did make a mention of the fact that there is a proud history in Sekekune of struggle against colonialism and against minority rule, right? Sekekune rebellions and so on. A proud history of that. And today, communities continue demonstrating resilience and determination in their fight for economic justice and a just transition to renewable energy. So SISMAC in the Sekekune area, I would argue, are leading the way in the fight for a genuinely just transition. Not just a transition to renewables, but for it to actually be just, fair, right? And especially in the context of a history of colonial dispossession. And we know it has to be more equitable. It must be possible to set up more equitable and efficient systems than our colonizers designed, and communities should have a say in that and decide what that looks like for themselves. So we teamed up with SISMAC, I did, and the other partners to demonstrate that vision. And what Comrade Tokelo was saying about the negative consequences of mining, I also put there. The Sekekune region, people struggle with the impact of mines on the water, on the air, and when the mine closures, no proper process after that for making sure that people are able to continue surviving there. And SISMAC argues that the social labor plans of mining companies in the area should include the provision and support for community-owned, locally generated and community-owned renewable energy. So that is sort of the aim of the project. We want to do research, get really confident about our demands, and then take it to the mines and say, you must, we've done the research, we've done a feasibility, we've seen what is possible, this is the design we think that works, taking into consideration the needs of the communities, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And we want you to really contribute to our communities in your social labor plan with renewable energy. Okay, so what have we done so far? Do you want to tell us, Desiree, about the different activities that have happened in the project since we started?
Okay, thank you, Ferron. We have identified 4 communities which are the most affected communities in our area by the mine, Twickenham. So those 4 villages is the Dubeliman, Chekane, Marapaneng, and Mahopa. So we have did survey with those 4 villages, and then we compiled a report. So now we are doing a community mapping, stakeholder mapping, yeah, to identify important stakeholders who are going to help us making our project a success. It's the stage where we are now. I don't know if Tugel want to add something.
Yeah, in addition, we did a community exchange. We went to Gqeberha and also with Bank to have a clear picture on what are we studying. Because you can start something while you don't know the disadvantages or the challenges. So we went to Gqeberha, Tsitsikama, and Saltua, where they are doing wind turbines and solar panels. So we went there to understand the challenges, how are they benefiting from the project. So when we go to Sekhukhune, we know what the challenges, where can we rectify things so that our communities are benefiting from the project. Thanks.
Thank you. And we tried to be very thorough. So both speaking to communities that have done it in Witbank, for example, and in Gqeberha with the Saltuba Cooperative, and then also, and the challenges that they've had. And then we also went and did lots and lots of interviews, 52 interviews with households in those 4 communities, getting in-depth information on how much they spend on electricity compared to their incomes. How do they feel about solar energy? Do they want it? Is it something that they care about? Do they want socially owned renewable energy? We asked lots of those questions and compiled the results. And we are now working on a report which we're going to launch in November in Burgersfort, or in one of the 4 villages. And we are going to be using that not only as a launch, but as a community meeting, as a mobilization activity to get communities both to, 1, recognize the potential and possibilities of SOAR, and 2, start to see what they can do to make it happen in their communities. So that's happening in November, and we hope some of you comrades can also join us. Some of the insights that came out, I just copied your slide, Job, from the report was, as I said, high familiarity with solar technology, a positive orientation, the idea of electricity as a public good and a right, that was important for us to establish. Do people think that this is something that they deserve or that must be paid for? Because you know, we worry that the capitalist ideologies have impacted our working class communities, and actually no. The working class communities in this, rural communities in these 4 villages, they're saying, no, electricity is a basic right, and it's a public good, and it should belong to everybody. And that was important for us to recognize. yeah, and there was also great recognition, and I think I've heard that insight from lots of different people, that we have to do intensive community education around, so that people feel empowered to both input into policies, but also to be able to advocate and campaign against, or campaign for government, for mines, for Eskom to invest in socially owned renewable energy for the public good. Yeah, so I think that's really, very good. Okay, so I just wanted to end, and then I'm gonna give you, okay, I didn't tell me in a bit if I can have it. Oh, you want to talk about it?
Bring up the proposal, and then we can think about that.
Oh, you have a mic.
So, comrades, it's been brought to my attention that today is going to be the only sunny day in Durban, and then it's going to be rainy and grey. And tomorrow was supposed to be the day that we go to the beach. But do we want to go there when it's rainy and grey, or do we want to go there when the sun is shining and it's a beautiful day? Who wants the rainy and grey? So the proposal is that after this session, we break and instead go to the beach this afternoon, and then we move the session that was supposed to be this afternoon to tomorrow afternoon. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay. Great.
So can I have 15 minutes?
And are we also okay with giving Comrade Ferrer an additional 10 minutes just for this? Because it seems like the discussions are quite rich and we don't want to close it off
I just want
prematurely.
everyone to be able to say their things. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Carm. Okay, and so then I'll just say what next, what we're hoping for next, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but one option or one proposal is a vision from Labour. So this is an old vision. So NUMSA in 2012 wrote this document, Motivations for a Socially Owned Renewable Energy Sector. NUMSA, the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, the biggest union in Africa. And at that time, 2012, they were saying that we should be supporting renewable energy, but it can't be a capitalist grab, and it shouldn't block new subsidies to green, and they don't want new subsidies to green capitalists, right? They want the public and democratic control of energy, and that must be extended not only to our current energy system, but new developing energy systems, the renewable energy sector. And they made the proposal that we should have a campaign by unions and community organizations, I would add, to act as catalysts in the establishment of renewable energy cooperatives and other forms of community energy enterprises, right? So that's the one proposal. Another, we need to struggle to build renewable energy parastatals, right? So that would be state-owned, under my definition, public, and municipal-owned renewable energy entities that are under democratic control through constituency-based governing councils and with a strong social mandate to provide energy services, fight energy poverty and inequality, and extend the right to energy. Because as much as you have the right to energy, if you don't have money to pay for it, you don't really have the right to energy, right? So to extend the right to energy and make it available to all. And then the last thing that they said was bringing sites with the greatest abundance of usable renewable energy sources such as land under public, community, or collective ownership as a way of ensuring the accrual of a large share of economic benefits to producers and owners of the actual means through which renewable energy is generated. And I know that's a very long way of saying that the means to produce the renewable energy should be in public control, right, under public ownership. So that's one vision for what's next. And what I'm proposing is that we take this vision and use the IEP, our interventions locally at municipal level and in our campaigns to fight for socially owned renewable energy. So the comrades in CISMAC who are always pushing for the SLPs to be more genuine and more meaningful and have a bigger impact, right? They're always pushing for that. Now they're pushing for that with a climate justice lens. And they're saying, actually, we do want you to invest more in our communities, but we also want you to invest in renewable energy that is socially owned by all of us. Yeah, so is there opportunity for you in your work to also think about how the campaign for climate justice and the campaign for socially owned renewable energy can be included in the work you're already doing? Okay, so now I'm opening the floor. Sorry, Alex, you're going to run a bit. Okay.
In the direction you want me to go.
Okay, so the floor is open, hands up, and then we've got one hand here, 2, 3, 4. Anybody that hasn't spoken yet, put your hand up. Can we do this, the person from, okay, you can go ahead and then the person over there with the red hat. Thanks.
Okay.
Go ahead, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Rather, because earlier on I wasn't given a chance to comment, I will put my comments in questions. The first question that I have is, when looking into the example that we have made, I think Sismark or something like that, what is the funding model? Where are the funds going to come from? And number 2, the issue of sustainability. And thirdly, the issue of government support. This type of government within this ideology that we don't like, or any kind of form of ideology. And lastly, a comment. I would like to urge comrades that we don't always all the time happen to be too much obsessed with ideology sometimes and sophistication thereof, because we are likely to sound like our fellow politicians who are populist, and we lack specificity and details sometimes. Thank you very much.
Karen's pointing me, and then I'll follow where she sends me.
Red hat.
All right, thank you. Yeah, yeah. One other thing I'm interested in is that issue of Isikukuni. What are the mines producing there, and then how are the people getting affected? And secondly, I just need to emphasize from one of what our fellow comrade just mentioned regarding the definitions and the terms, because sometimes we're going to be listening to certain terms and then we putting ourselves into more trouble. So I just need to maybe glibly try to answer as to his concern. Yeah, I would like to say whatever terminology used, whatever language used, our primary concern is output. For as long as we get positive output for our communities, I think I'm well and I'm fine with that. Because there will always be semantics. There will always be language barriers and stuff. But now the important thing is that we need to check what you put in would be equal to what we put out or what we get out. Yeah, thank you very much.
And just to say, comrades, on the definition of social ownership, the aim of this is not to get into a semantic argument about what the details of the wording, but rather to add meat to it, to see, do we agree? Are we talking about the same thing, right? That's all. So if we are talking about the same thing, whatever we mean, or whatever words we use, then I'm good. But if you agree that that we should be fighting for socially owned renewable energy, that is energy that is where the means to produce that belongs to most to the community or the public at large, and where the benefits of that also are for the public good. Okay, then I'll go for...
Some hands that haven't spoken yet in the back. Right,
Yes, please. Okay. Can we do... I don't know who hasn't spoken, but any hand that hasn't spoken is good. The back there.
Okay. Hi, guys. It's Siabonga Utelezi. I come from the New Environment Justice Solutions. My question is, solar panels are very expensive. Have you guys have funders for that as yet? Or you're still looking for funders?
Yeah. Okay.
And then Brighton also hasn't spoken. I know Rob's arm is also falling off there.
Okay. So I'm gonna hand over to the... Do you want to answer the question about... Do do this in a more organized way so that I can manage it. Okay, so we're going to do, sorry, Alex, we're going to do 3 questions and then answer and then come back. I just didn't think we had that much time. But, so we had the, I already responded, I guess, kind of to the definition question and then the specificity question and then the funding. Oh, and then there was a question around mines are affecting people. Yeah. Do you want to answer that one? What mines are there and how are they affecting people?
Okay, I'll try to answer some. The mines we are having in Sekhukhune, we have plenty of mines and they're mining platinum and chrome. And we have realized that the mine is discharging chemicals from our main rivers, and in Sekhukhune we don't have a water. And we are not employed by these mines. So for now, we don't have a funds. What we are doing, we are trying to engage with the mine, ESCOM, municipality, because we don't want to exclude them. We want them in the board, but what we are fighting is that the community must benefit, must have many shares in that project. I'm not sure if I have answered you, comrade.
Can I just add on that together? I have already said, we're having a question saying, do we have funders yet? No, we don't have a funders yet. We are still looking for funders, but we are targeting mine since they are the one polluting our environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Coms. And I do have a comment about the funding and the realism part of it, but I'll come to that in the end, and maybe some other comrades can speak instead of me. But can we do 3 more hands? Rob, are you going to answer a question or ask a question? Ask. Oh, okay, because I thought maybe you're going to answer some of them. But okay, so one. What must I do? There are millions of you. Okay, okay, we'll do, I don't know what's going on at the back, so I'll just do 1, 2, 3.
No, but I got the mic. I'm going
Okay, you go and then I'll do these people. Go.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for your responses. I think that there's a lady that mentioned something earlier. She mentioned that why are we afraid to talk about the financing? Because the financing is actually determining everything that we'll be able to do. I'm just want to pinpoint some issues here. The first issue is that the government itself has given up already on an idea that is based on socially owned renewable energy. Why? Because already they've gone to the international community to look for financing for the transition, and we've been offered close to just 1/10 of what we need to fully transition to renewable sources. And secondly, the government is given up in a way that they've taken the IPP model, the independent power producer model, that is giving up on funding because they're giving to the private sector. So the question still goes to where does the financing come from? Just recently there was the Municipal Just Energy Transition Conference, something like that. I was saddened that already the municipalities are being told to go and look for financing to the market. Basically meaning that the municipalities are being told to go to look for debt to be able to fund the renewable, the energy transition. So we have a problem. When we look at our societies, we know that South Africa is one of the most unequal societies. The poor are very poor. So if we want a socially owned renewable energy, when the majority of the people are poor, where's the financing gonna come from? So I just wanted us to look at that problem, not in the sense that we are also giving up, but we need to start having answers to say, okay, we want a fair transition. But how is the financing going to come? Because already we know IMF, World Bank, they're not going to give any grants. They're very explicit about that. So where is the financing for us to transition to renewables going to come from? Thank you.
Can I say I was elected? Oh, you got the mic already?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to speak for Rani.
Comrade, ngicela ukukhuluma isiZulu ngoba ngisekhaya. I get worried, comrades, mengabe kube sizohambisa ukuthi imali yokuthi siwine the social ownership yokuyiphehlela ugesi sizokubeka emalini nomuntu ozosipha imali. First of all, for those abangazi, amakaka wethu angasiphehlela ugesi. Udoti lo othi mawuthi uyophila bese abanye bafake dustbin. I'm not expecting that from a environmentist activist. So Usimpiwe earlier asked a question to say sizoqala nini ukuyenza practical lento le. But for the fact ukuthi sisalinde whoever ukuthi azosilethela imali yokuthi sihlula nje ukuyenza a simple thing mawuqeda ukuphila ikhabishi or whatever kupha umgodi and save or store whatever things to use it for something else, then sine problem kwathina njengoba sihleli la. So all in all, comrades, yes, finance is important, but let's not commit a mistake. Menga notice Eskom uhlezi athi eSoweto bayamkolota, everywhere siyamkolota. With my understanding, asimkoloti because azange simthumi ukuthi asicelele leyo mali and azange aze asitshele futhi ukuthi uyofuna imali ukuze azosiphehlela ugesi. Bokumele asibuze ukuthi thina si comfortable ngokuthi asiphehlela ugesi kanjani and ngemali azobe ayithatha kuphi. So comrade, asibeni careful uke washo comrade lapha ya eBack City what we have to be careful ukuthi kwathina nje sifunani or what do we understand by socially owned. Because if sisakhuluma socially owned, then it's funa imana from heaven to come and assist us, then we are having a problem.
So, Farron, you're directing me. Hey, I used to be a teacher, and the worst thing was that if the room was quiet. So this is just such a good problem to have, hey?
So there's first world problems, yeah. Oh yes.
Where are you sending me? Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Comrade, I'm not sure if I missed something. I've learned everything, but yes, we have a big challenge with crime in South Africa. So do we mean the renewable energy is not affected with crime? That's my question. Thank you.
Where do you want to send?
Before we continue, put down your hands for a second. Under the current conditions, like where we are now, today, is climate justice possible? Stand if you say yes. Right now, is it possible to achieve climate justice? Right now. Right now, under the conditions that we've got a government of national unity, we've got, South Africa is very unequal, so we've got high levels of inequality, 10% own the bulk of the economy, we've got concentrated wealth globally, we've got fossil fuels making more billions and billions every year. I'm asking. This, I'm just giving you the context of where we are right now. Is it possible to get climate justice? Okay, so let's just take a minute to really think about it. Shh. Is climate justice possible now? Okay. The people standing, what did I say? You sit down, you yes, and you stand, you know. Okay, so the people who are standing. What? Oh, standing. Oh, sorry, cool. Why don't you confuse me? Because he said it anyway, and he's sitting and anyway. Okay, so if you agree, you're standing, right? You agree climate justice right now is possible. Who feels super strongly they want to explain why they are standing? Who wants to explain why they're standing? Oh, I haven't heard from you. Oh, Alex,
Where am I going?
that at the back in the corner.
The back in the corner.
Of there's your hand again, sir. Come, dude, man. Sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses. I have no idea who you are.
You can't see me.
I can't. I really can't.
Yeah, first things first, as an activist, as Osis Cleo have already alluded, I do not doubt my work that I'm doing currently. Yes, the thing is I can't save the planet in one day, but bit by bit, we are getting there. Yes. For the fact that I stood up from my comfort zone, trying to change certain elements and certain things around my space, it pushes me and also it gives me that energy to do more and more, you know, with other people joining me each and every day to try to bring that change, you know. I can stand here and speak the whole day of things that we have done as an organization, but we are all also looking forward to do and more impact. And it drives us each and every day to say that we are not gonna rest until climate justice is saved. Keep in mind, we can't save the whole Africa in one day, but each and every day when you stand up and do something, you are changing something somewhere, somehow.
I'm going to
Thank
ask
you.
a question next. So here's my mic.
Oh, you're going to ask me a question?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Baron,
Okay, thank you, Com. Brilliant. So you're saying that, sorry, I've given my mic to Clement. So I just want to say, you're saying that people power, communal power, has had victories in the past, right? We overcame apartheid with solidarity. We didn't have money. We had less money than we have now, and we overcame apartheid, right? Did we have money for ARVs when the Treatment Action Campaign was saying we need to give everybody ARVs, and government said, we don't have money. But then they fought, and they won, and the money suddenly appears. Yeah? So now I'm definitely saying we should look into the financing and funding, but it's really important for us to recognize that the limits put on us by people in power are not necessarily impossible to overcome. Yeah? Those barriers are not, we've done it before and we do it again. We will. And the thing is, we need to. We have to. Because I want to understand, under current conditions, how we are going to achieve climate justice, right, through the models that already exist. Right, through the funding mechanisms that already exist, through the funding, not just mechanisms, but the amount of money that government says is there. Is climate justice possible under those conditions? Okay, tell me how. If they say we don't have money, what must we do? Yeah, tell me. Oh, so Clement, so my question to you, but maybe the comrade next to you can answer it. But my question to you was, you're standing, so you think climate justice is possible now, but you were talking about the fact that a lot of our plans lack specificity and lack the funds, right, to actually implement them. So I want to know, how do you think then climate justice under the conditions we've got now is possible?
I like this because perhaps earlier on I could have go on and explain myself what did I mean. And I like this because it encouraged me to continue with my comments going forward that I'm listened to. Actually, what I was referring there before is that sometimes we happen to be obsessed with this academic lingo that seems to be missing meaning, sometimes thinking that we know much whilst others know much as well. For example, a politician will come here and tell you about socialism, but the same politician is not living a socialist life. These are some of the things that I was referring to. However, let me just go quickly to this. No, what I was saying by that time, I was simply referring to the ideologies and the application of those ideologies. But I was not necessarily saying that the movement regarding climate justice lacks details and specificity. That's not what I was referring. That was not what I was referring. However, let me just quickly say this in 2-3 seconds to say that possibility does not mean instant reality. Rather, it means you work in a process, gradually. So at the current moment, with the influence, because we don't have power, in politics what the community and activists have is only influence, but not power. Power only lies with the state and the rich. If the students of political science are here, will agree with me in that. So I'm simply saying, with the influence that we have and the eagerness to change the world, either for ourselves or for the future generation, yes, it is possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Combs, you can sit, but does anybody else who is standing want to come in on my question around the realism? Because, you can take a seat.
Okay.
What? Oh, the sitting. Oh, yes. No, yes, sure. Thank you, Com. Thank you. I'll take that feedback. The people that were so now I just have to believe you. The people that are sitting, or that were sitting, that don't think it's possible under these conditions, tell us why. Okay, Com, go ahead, tell me.
Where are you sending me? Here?
Yeah, I hope you'll get two more people who are sitting a chance.
One more.
No, for
One more.
fairness and justice.
Go ahead.
So, I don't want to sound like a pessimist, but you see, I see a lot of changes that are taking place out of individual initiatives, especially at community level. You take an active role, you push greedy companies into taking responsibility for the damage that they are doing in the environment, and government will come after a secondary thought. So a political will on the moment does not give communities that kind of a hope that this thing is going to be possible, you see. It's communities who were throwing stones, who pushed for the apartheid government to fall. You see, it's not like it was just a couple of activists who were shooting, bombing, and so on and so forth. You see, so we are saying we are putting communities at the center of all of these things, which would push government to make a serious political decision. If it was Burkina Faso, we know Traoré will say, the French, please leave. Leave within 48 hours, and then you leave all the minerals of the country. We will see what to do. That is a radical change that we need. If, given the context of South Africa, we were having that kind of a level of decision making, we would agree that. But right now, given the level of fragmentation and inherent division, even amongst same racial groups, we don't see. I mean, it's a dog-eat-dog out there. Even for communities that are fighting, sometimes it becomes very, very difficult to unite even some of these communities, you see. I was listening during tea to one gentleman who was saying to me, Free State used to be called a gold field, but you'd find that even within that particular gold field, you will not be able to unite that particular community to push these companies to take responsibility because of inherent fragmentation. So this question is deep. It's just that the previous political session...
Not inherent. Purposeful and intentional fragmentation.
Yes.
It's not inherent is connection, I believe.
We know who pushes for this things. It's just that we didn't deeply, we scratched the surface with the morning question, you see. So I think in a nutshell, one is basing it on such. I wish I had 2 more days to speak.
But the community must be at the center, and right now that's not how we're talking about the IEP and that's not how policies are enacted and how our governance happens. Like, there's lots of ways in which people really don't have a say about what happens in their lives, right? And so we need to change a lot of things for climate justice to happen. This is a campaign against austerity. This is a campaign for debt cancellation. This is a campaign to tax the rich. This is a campaign to say for reparations. This is a campaign to say that this way in which you have in which this society is organized is wrong, is unacceptable to us. We don't agree with this level of inequality. We don't agree with how you are contributing to global warming and having an effect on the working class majority. We want to change it. So instead of talking about what's realistic or where the money will come from, I think it's more important for us to discuss, or like, challenge, where are you going to get the money to do that? Like, instead of that, right, I think the better way to think about it is, what are the balance of forces that are currently in place, that where can we leverage? What is it? What are the ideas in the room about where we can make this money? Where can we get this money? How can we change things so that it's not such a difficult question where this money is coming from? Right? Shouldn't it be an easy question if we're facing a climate emergency that we know where the money is coming from for publicly owned renewable energy? Isn't that something that's like obvious? Surely government should be solving this problem, providing this basic right, this basic need that households have to everybody. And should we not be campaigning for that?
Yeah.
Pushing harder for that? Because it seems like a lot of us have capitulated to the idea that maybe it is only the private sector that can solve this crisis or deal with renewables. And I think that is a lack of confidence in our own power and a failure of our institution, like the movement, to tell us that we have power, because we do. I believe we do. Okay.
Comrade Ferron, can I maybe make a suggestion? This is such a rich discussion, and we've clearly got lots of desire for more discussion on this. Collectively, do we want to agree to continue this conversation until past, maybe another 20 minutes, so that we aren't foreclosing? Because technically now we're supposed to end with an additional 10 minutes. But if we take another 20 minutes, that does give us a bit more time. And then that also means we still have a lot of time to go to the beach, because we'll go from 3:30 and so on. So is this a proposal? Okay. What's the proposal?
That we are facing in society. I do not understand the rushed too much on the time while we are even accommodated. At some point in time, for people to take us serious, we need to start by taking ourselves serious. Because these are discussions that we are expected to go and disseminate to our society. If we fail to build that capacity here, where are we going to build it in the coalition? Sometimes we need to sit down, discuss matters, exhaust them, and agree on principle that this is the position we stand on in the coalition. Because tomorrow morning, I will go out, speak ideas that belong to the organization I belong in, and that will contradict the coalition. We need to agree in principle as members of the coalition, come out with positions out of these sittings so that we are able, even when we go out to society, to defend those positions and have a common view as civil society organization that this is the position we have for young people and for women and for marginalized communities in our society. So I'm not saying I'm forcing us to continue, but it's something that we need to think of. If we come to political schools, do we come for leisure or do we come in order to contribute ideas that would shape us moving forward? Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. I don't know how you want to guide me here. Are people okay for at least going to past, right? And then if needs be, comrades can also stay and I think continue the conversation, definitely. So Ferron, where do you want to send me? If people are okay with that, is everybody okay? Extend until at least past, eh? Okay. Okay, just let me know.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's a very important question that you asked earlier about whether, if we can get climate justice now. I just think it's going to take a lot of work, collective effort and collaboration. It will take a lot of resources. Because with the tech campaign, it took a lot of civil disobediences, like every night at parliaments across the country, in all the many things that happen with multiple organizations driven by tech. and it showed it was possible. But it's just going to take a lot of hard work, and we know that there's a lot of backlash also, and what happened with defenders of the climate and human rights defenders and so forth. But it's not impossible. Yeah, so I think I wanted to start there. There was another point I wanted to make. I just came from a meeting in Joburg with some of the big players, the people that have the money for the work that we do. And they do work in 8 countries in SADC. And one of the things that we managed to put on their agenda is a climate justice reparations campaign. And we said to them, not a donor-driven thing, but a bottom-up thing, where the grassroots take the lead and where we need to collate stories of harm and damages and start holding those people responsible for it accountable. Because we're not just speaking about loss and damages. I mean, what's happening in communities, the devastation, the ghost towns, the mines left and people have nothing, the social ills, the problems, the land aggregation, the pollution in the air. All these things are there. But we need to start writing up that stories, and then we build a campaign from below up, and we really hold our government accountable. And these big corporations who make trillions of dollars and pounds on the backs of people's hardships and on the suffering of our people, somewhere we need to start. And yeah, we have some ideas, but I think in the space we're going to come up with many ideas of what we can do to start tackling the systems that's oppressing us and allowing all of this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you so many times. I'm so grateful for the treatment action campaign, so I can hold on to that for hope, for their success. And I know lots of us, we do lots of amazing work, but that is a nice thing to hold on to. What is possible? Sorry, I've totally lost track.
Back here.
Oh, shame. Okay, yes, Rob. Okay, go ahead.
No.
1, 2, 3. Do you see you 3? Yeah, 3. So you 1 at the back with the green thing. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 8. Very quick. Just the point, not the flash.
Okay, so comms, I think the one thing is that we are going to have to be quite explicit. It's implicit in the model, but we're going to be explicit that what we are saying is not an alternative to a publicly owned, even monopoly as the main energy source, a publicly owned, basically Eskom. We want Eskom to change the way it operates, to be accountable to the working class, but I think a lot of because at past gatherings on the subject, a lot of the divide was that perception that social ownership, and it is being used by, it really is being used by proponents of privatization to drive privatization, and effectively in those scenarios with IPPs, it's a tiny percent that's socially owned. I think if we're going to get traction, particularly bringing in the broader working class, we need to be crystal clear that that by social ownership we mean public ownership. Those two things are actually the same thing. Community ownership is just one form, and it's very important. And community ownership, community ownership is important precisely where there are leverage points. So like the SysMac project that has been described, there's a leverage point there because mines under our law, because of the history and frankly present of mining, of colonialism and dispossession, it's more regulated than other sectors, and that there are positive social obligations on companies to have development projects. And so community-owned renewable, and plus mining companies are supplying their own energy but the point that there's a leverage point there for community ownership. But I think we really need to contest the definition of social ownership very aggressively and say it doesn't mean not Eskom. That's actually the opposite of what it means. What it means is not the private sector and not for profit. Thanks.
No, my hand was up for quite a long time. I just said I must sit down. No, thank you. I'm Victor from Limpopo. Yes. I think we can win it. And it is upon us to win it. And I don't think we need to take it politically. Because this issue we are dealing with those who are in politics. So if we are here, we can't run away from politics. That's correct. But we need not to be more politically when engaging this issue. Bosses of mines are stubborn. We have engaged them through SAFTU in Limpopo because they are the problems. So I think we can win it, and I don't know how far or where do we want to see them in the labor market, because at the end there must be employment. I'm referring to those, yes, at the end there must be employment. So we are in support of them. I'm from there in Limpopo. We have been engaging the mines in Limpopo through Palawa Palakathle. We have done that. We have taken them to CCMA, the mines. So we will be helping them too through SAFTU. So we'll win it. I thank you.
Oh, Alex, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much, leadership. Mine is, it is not a question or whatsoever, but I just want to bring this thing into light to say that as an organization, I think we have went a milestone now on the issue of what we call an energy democracy. So I'm presenting myself to the House to say that in case we are eager maybe to know about the financial modeling of how these renewable energies can work or whatsoever that you need, I'm here. I'm even having tools that we can sit down, scrutinize, as to check, and also align you how can we achieve it. Is it possible? And also facing the realities that we are facing as a community. So, but all I'm saying, I'm just bringing assistance as well to Sekukune, you know. Yeah, because like they did come to our space, we sat with them down, we worked on this thing, but now we have went a milestone as just to share a little thing where we are now. We are in year 3 of the project. We call it the Energy Democracy Project, whereby people like the trade unions, government, provincial, local, come together. Because remember, what is the aim of this socially owned renewables is that it must be, firstly, it must be a bottom-up approach, which means it's being owned by what? The community. For who? For the community. Who benefits is the community. So it's the bottom-up approach, you know, and I can even explain as to why did we even arrive on the bottom-up approach. So stakeholders are being mapped, like almost everything. I can't say everything, like, but we have done a lot of work around that, you know. So we are not even working alone. That's when we also invite the role of academia, whereby they also assist us in terms of feasibility studies. A feasibility study, it is to check realities to say that if we take this route, are we going to arrive there or not? What are the strengths, weaknesses, and also opportunities within that route, you know? So that's why mostly feasibility studies are being done. And some of them, they fail, some of them, they pass, but we come back and scrutinize it until we win this thing. Then that's why we are even having a financial model, you know, of the very same project, whereby we are not even thinking of money coming out from somewhere. We are having our own free basic electricity. And if we engage our government, we can redirect that money to what? To projects that can sustain us as a community. So those are the other discussions that we are having in the space, you know, within our space. So I'm here. If you are having any interest of knowing more and more, not that I'm shining Sekukune and what, but I'm just bringing in assistance to them as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Kham. And just to say, yes, so the next part of the project would be launching the report, and then using that, they're also going to be stakeholder engaged, like their meetings with the different stakeholders, as Tokelo said. And then after that, the next part would be raising money for a feasibility study. So you need to get designers and engineers to see like what system would work and what makes sense, taking into account the community's needs. So that would be the next phase. Thank you, Kham.
Yes. I come back mainly because there is one thing that I feel I need to say as a departing statement for today. I feel there's a question that we are busy running around it and don't want to say we are the black cat. But we're saying, no, we have black spots and what not. There is one reality that we need to face. An ideological question is the guiding principle in the discussion we are in. Because the question that keeps on coming back to say, where are we getting this money from, is motivated by an ideology to say, who is giving us this money, at whose interest, why is he giving us? And before we respond to that question, we will keep on asking, where are you getting this money? We always have people going to COP29 to speak things that are not true, mainly because they've been funded to go there. You understand? That perhaps in the coalition we need to come into an ideological discussion to say, in the coalition, this is what we stand in. And this is the agenda we are persuading for. And this agenda, it brings us back to say, that's why I like the statement, it's perhaps we don't want to say it in words. It said systemic change, not climate change. We were challenging the idea there. It was not by mistake. There's an idea we stand for. Let's go for that idea. If we believe in systemic change, let's advocate for it. It will also resolve matters of economic transformation and many others, which are subsequently the matters that are being exacerbated by climate change. Because poverty is there. Economic transformation needs to be advanced. Because as activists, we are not only activists of climate change, we are activists of social transformation. So we can't be talking of climate change and say, no, let's continue with solar panels, this. Let's know, this is how we're going to finance them. If we can't be saying we want to finance, but we still want to go to USA and request for money. If it's an ideological question, we are honest about systemic change. There are people that we can say, if you are a member of the Climate Justice Coalition, you can't request money from these people. If we, as the coalition, we stand with Palestine, there is no time in point in day we can accept money from Palestine. From Israel, I mean. That's a discussion we need to be having within this coalition, because it's a political discussion that we need to depart with a political discourse to say, this is what we want to persuade as the coalition. Hence, even the response towards our government, we will know our position if we define our ideological stance to say, this is what we stand for. But if we keep on saying, let's not discuss the ideology, we'll end up having a crisis of identifying ourselves within the climate change space. And we'll end up speaking liberal policies that also seek to destroy the people. Because the system has a tendency of transforming activists into things that they were not when they joined the space. Thank you.
And I just wanted to add one more thing just about our campaigning work with CISMAC and other comrades here have also indicated their interest, is intervening, because we're talking about where the money is for what we're hoping, right? And the next intervention or the next collective effort that we're pursuing is intervening in the integrated development plans of different municipalities, right? Because those municipalities have budgets and they also do have, for example, in Johannesburg, where they own, so Johannesburg owns City Power, they're saying they're developing a plan to transition to diverse and sustainable energy mix. Does anybody here live in Johannesburg? Do you know about this plan? Are you involved in it? Have you heard of it? The city's energy mix plan to transition to diverse and sustainable energy mix.
Are we shifting the question structure or?
Oh, sorry, yes. So let me not answer that. The answer is probably not, you don't know. Or it's not public, there's not been a lot of public consultation or discussion on it. But the IDP process does have time for comments and intervention where government is listening to us. Actually, it's kind of happening now. September, October is where they're reviewing the previous year's IDPs, and you can tell them, actually, we didn't like how you spent the budget, we want you to spend the budget a different way, right? So there are ways in which we can tell government to spend money in the way that we think they should be spending it. And in Sekekune, that is also one of our strategies, is to intervene in the IDP. So we're going to talk to SLPs or mines with SLPs, and we're also going to talk to the municipality. There are issues with procurement of electricity, but that is part of the campaign. We need to change the systems, change the laws, change the regulations in our favor. And how we distribute power, that is going to be on us. We have to move things because the people in power aren't going to move without our pressure. Okay, number 3 or 2.
Can I respond to Nkosinati quickly? It's just a process question for us in the political school, because I think Nkosinati's raised an important point that there are questions that we want to resolve, right? And it's important to note that on the last day, we are going to be breaking up into working groups. And so if there are priority questions you think we must resolve, these working groups are going to be spaces where we want to really dig in and think like, this is a thing we have to have a position on, and this is what we want to. So I think that's really important, but I did want to say we're trying to ensure that there is space for us to dive in. So a lot of these sessions are primer sessions to help us get the ideas out, but then we want to dive deep and get concrete in this, because I think you're right, we can't just float around the whole time. Yeah, thank you.
Amandla, Mkhize Sibongile, kunento okumele la isicacele. To support the point eke khushulwa comrade at the front from iSoweto ukuthi iyakweleta electricity. Lana into eyenzakalayo kithina as ama South Africans kune case yokuthi kuthiwa iSoweto ikweleta ugesi, ayikho leyo nto. Basebenzisa thina as indle emnyama ezifusa abantu abanhlwempu ngalendlela ukuthi asikwazi ukucabanga. Ngibuye ngize la eKZN, due to climate change, they're using these companies, big companies, to destroy our lands so that we can't be affected. And they're getting funded from the donations and funding from outside countries because they are having the communication with us. And kumele sizibuze lana ukuthi kungani ezweni lethu kugcwele abantu bokufika kakhulu. Iyini aim yabo? Ingoba bayazi ukuthi thina as ama South Africans neTheku si rich kakhulu, iGoli line mine, and there is something abazokwazi ukuyithola bathole leyo mali. And uma ukuthi uyanaka, majority abantu bokufika, they don't have ama permits okuba lana, ba busy nama drugs. Ukuzobulala ini country yethu ngoba laba abantu bafuna ukuzicebisa bona ukusebenzisa thina as abantu abahluphekile. So kumele sizame ngakho konke ukuthi singenza kanjani ukuba stopper ekuthenini kube nabantu aba affectwa ama floods nokusebenzisa izinto ezizokwenza ukuthi ku benefit bona. When it comes to imanure, mengisakhule bengihlala nogogo bekuthathiwa ilentele ithings enkukhu uzifake endishini ulokhu uthela amanzi phakathi uthatha amakhasi elentele kaanyanisi awe mokade uphila nje ama veg ukwenza njani ukwenza ukuthi kwigarden thina besikhule sinalento ekuthiwa seeds and tools for orphan to avoid ukuthi njalo uyakothenga eshop ama veg. Even now mina bengisenakho khathi ngisenemozi, so kwafika ama floods ke ayikho into engahambanga. So leyo nto leyo iyasave kithina. Kungani singathi we need to go back to our roots. Sisebenzise leya system yethu yakudala to improve ourselves so that they don't have the weight or to use us to benefit themselves while we are still struggling. Thank you.
Yeah, we need, and we can, right? Like the biggest
We on the cure, you're trying to
lie they've told us is that we can't, and we definitely can.
He's jumping, yeah. Because we've got a long...
Thank you so much. I do believe from all the initiatives that I've heard from the comrades, you guys are doing amazing work, and I appreciate the efforts. But I think in listening to all these solutions, I'm missing the element of the health equity of this transition. Because already we are experiencing health inequalities based on the appropriateness of the infrastructure and the resource allocation. So I'm worried with the transition or renewable energy, where are we addressing the health equity? Because I speak from a point, I'm a mom who has a son who's asthmatic. So during load shedding, we struggled with him getting support. So then how do we speak about the immediate medical emergencies based on the geographic statistics and locations of vulnerable communities? Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if somebody thought about. Thank you. Yeah.
Who was next on the number line?
So I don't know either. Five.
Five.
I think
You were
Claudia had
four,
her hand up.
then
5.
Huh?
4.
I think Tara was 5. This was 4.
Yeah.
This is 5. Okay. And then 6 was.
Alex, so we've already, hi guys, so we've already, we're at 25 to 4, so can we make Claudia the final word on the topic and then go to the beach, or do comrades want to talk more stuff? Also engage on the beach. Okay, cool.
Okay, I don't have very much to add. It's Com Kosinati said most of what I wanted to say, but essentially, I think we must remember that the climate change was caused by the history of colonization and capitalism, and those intersections continue today. So if we are wanting to achieve climate justice, we cannot do so within this existing system. We need to dismantle the systems of colonialism and capitalism that continue today. And so it's important to recognize that we do have, like, yeah, we can make slow systemic shifts, but those may not be enough. It's going to be a very long journey. And also another thing is that climate change is here already, and it's going to be with us for a very long time. So we also need to be thinking about how do we sustainably build a climate justice movement that lasts generations, because that's actually what we need to be building. So I think those are the two things that I'll just say.
Excellent way to leave it. Thank you so much, Ron. So we'll end and we'll continue just talking about this, but if you are interested in specifically working on social ownership in your various campaign activities or of renewable energy, or you want to be involved in struggling for socially owned renewable energy